Now, there is a new video that could provide a fresh clue. Let's take a look. A Ring doorbell camera about 2 miles from Guthrie's Arizona home captured several cars that were passing through the area that same night. The same night that she
According to officials, the FBI is sitting on 10,000 hours of surveillance footage, cell tower records, and license plate data from the night 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie vanished. And they have said nothing. Not one word about the car. Nothing. Now ask yourself, when has the FBI ever gone silent around evidence they don't have? They haven't. According to veteran investigators, the FBI goes silent around evidence they are protecting. Something is on that footage. Something that connects to a name. Maybe 2 names. And the moment that silence breaks, everything changes. We have been tracking this case since day one. There is a thread, one specific connection, that every major network, every newspaper, every outlet covering this story has walked right past. We found it. And by the end of this video you will see exactly what they missed. Stay with us, because this is the part nobody is talking about yet. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications right now, because when this case breaks, this channel posts first. Now let's talk about what we actually know. Not what people are guessing online. Not what anonymous sources are whispering. What has been confirmed, documented, and placed on the record by the people running this investigation. Because this is where the story stops being a mystery and starts being a case. At 2:28 in the morning on February 1, 2026, Nancy Guthrie's pacemaker application disconnected from her phone. According to forensic analysts who reviewed the data, that disconnection is not a glitch. It is not a coincidence. It is a timestamp. It marks the exact moment Nancy Guthrie was separated from her device. Either her phone was moved beyond Bluetooth range, the device was manually disabled, or she was physically carried beyond the signal threshold of her own home. Every single one of those scenarios means the same thing. At 2:28 a.m., Nancy Guthrie was being moved. 8 minutes later, at 2:36 a.m., a car appeared on a Ring camera belonging to the Stratagula family on Camino Royale. That location sits exactly 2.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's residence in the Catalina foothills. Now here is where it gets precise. According to NBC correspondent Liz Kreutz, who physically drove the route between those 2 locations, the drive takes exactly 6 minutes. She chose the path deliberately, avoiding major intersections, selecting the back road corridor a driver would instinctively take at 2:30 in the morning when the objective is to move quickly and quietly without attracting attention. 6 minutes. Not 7. Not 10. 6. Run the math. 2:28 a.m. plus 6 minutes puts that car on Camino Royale at 2:34 a.m. The camera captured it at 2:36 a.m. That is a 2-minute gap. And according to behavioral analysts consulted on this case, that 2-minute margin is not a discrepancy. It is a signature. It is the time a driver would spend at the end of a street checking mirrors, removing a mask, confirming the road ahead was clear, transitioning from operational mode to exit mode. According to Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos, who addressed this publicly, the timing of that vehicle matches the investigative timeline. That is not a blogger's opinion. That is not a Reddit thread. That is the official position of the lead agency on this case. The car, the timing, the route, they match. And then the FBI said nothing. No press conference. No statement. No description of the vehicle released to the public. According to former law enforcement officials familiar with federal investigative protocol, the FBI does not go silent around evidence it does not have. The FBI goes silent around evidence it is building a case with. That silence you are hearing right now is not the sound of an investigation that has stalled. According to sources tracking this case closely, it is the sound of a prosecution that is almost ready. So we have a car, captured on camera at 2:36 a.m., traveling a route that places it exactly where the math says it should be. The question now is, what kind of car? And more importantly, what does that choice tell us about the person behind the wheel? According to retired NYPD Detective Pat Broen, who independently reviewed the Ring camera footage, the vehicle is a Kia Soul. A compact crossover. Not a truck. Not a cargo van with blacked-out windows and sliding doors. Not a large SUV built for hauling. A Kia Soul. A car you have seen in every parking lot in America. A car your neighbor drives. A car that disappears the moment it turns a corner because there is simply nothing about it that pulls your eye. And that is exactly the point. Think about what this vehicle selection communicates. If you are transporting something, or someone, you do not want attention. You do not choose a vehicle that draws it. According to forensic analysts familiar with abduction cases, perpetrators who plan in advance make deliberate choices about transportation. They are not grabbing the closest set of keys. They are selecting for invisibility. A Kia Soul with rear seats that fold flat creates a cargo area adequate for transporting a person of limited mobility without vertical clearance. According to analysts who reviewed the vehicle specs, you do not need a van for that. You need a plan. And someone had one. Now look at what was on the person approaching Nancy Guthrie's front door. According to former FBI Special Agent Tracy Walder, who analyzed the footage and the items visible on the figure, the backpack carried that night contained contents consistent with what investigators call a transport kit. Zip ties. Tape. Materials designed for physical control and containment. According to Walder, these are not the tools of a burglar looking for jewelry and electronics. A burglar does not need zip ties. A burglar does not need tape. Those are restraint materials. They are the tools of someone who came to that house not to take things, but to take a person. And then there is the figure itself. According to the FBI's own forensic unit, which erected a white tent over Nancy Guthrie's front entrance to replicate the exact nighttime lighting conditions of February 1st, agents dressed in replica clothing and ran infrared measurements on the scene. The result was precise. The subject visible on that porch footage stands between 5 feet 9 and 5 feet 10 inches tall. Average build. Dark facial hair visible beneath the mask. According to former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Jim Clementi, who reviewed the infrared footage frame by frame, there appears to be a marking on the subject's right wrist, possibly a tattoo. Clementi's assessment was deliberate. If confirmed, that marker alone could allow investigators to rule individuals into or out of the suspect pool entirely. A Kia Soul. Common. Quiet. Forgettable. The kind of car a sleepless neighbor looks at from a window at 2:30 in the morning and does not register, because there is nothing about it that demands registration. That invisibility was not accidental. It was a design choice. And according to every behavioral analyst who has reviewed this case, design choices reveal the designer. Someone chose that car. Someone packed that backpack. Someone stood 5 feet 9 inches tall on Nancy Guthrie's porch in the dark and knew exactly what they were there to do. And the FBI has been building a file around that person since the morning of February 2nd. The car is not just a vehicle. It is a decision. And that decision is about to lead investigators to a name. Before we name the two men at the center of this evidence, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next video drops the moment a suspect is publicly named. You cannot afford to miss that update. Now we get to the part that every outlet covering this case has either missed or deliberately avoided. Two names. Two men whose documented histories, geographic positions, and behavioral records place them inside the frame of this investigation. Not through accusation. Through facts. Public facts. Facts that are sitting in court records, sheriff press conferences, and federal investigative timelines available to anyone willing to look closely enough. We start with the man who was last seen with Nancy Guthrie alive. According to the investigative timeline confirmed by Pima County officials, Tommaso dropped Nancy Guthrie at her front door at 9:48 p.m. on January 31, 2026. He did not simply pull up and drive away. According to surveillance records reviewed by investigators, the garage door opened at 9:50 p.m. He waited. He sat in that car until she was inside and the door was closed behind her. That detail matters. It is the behavior of someone who is either deeply caring or deeply aware of being on camera. 3 hours and 57 minutes later at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera at Nancy Guthrie's home was interfered with. An unidentified figure approached her front door in complete darkness. The window between Sione pulling away and that figure appearing at her door is the operative window investigators have been examining since the beginning of this case. According to reporting on the investigation, The FBI returned to search Annie Guthrie and Sione's home not once, not twice but 5 separate times. According to former law enforcement officials, agencies do not send federal agents back to the same residence 5 times for courtesy visits. Each return represents a specific evidentiary objective. 5 visits to the same property is a documented pattern of sustained investigative interest that has never been publicly explained. Now here is where the record becomes important. According to measurements taken by investigative journalists who analyzed photographs of Sione standing alongside individuals of publicly known height, Sione stands consistently near 6 feet tall. Some assessments placed him at 183 centimeters. The FBI's forensic unit, according to their infrared measurements at the scene, placed the porch figure between 5 feet 9 and 5 feet 10. That gap does not close. According to analysts reviewing the data, if the figure on that porch is 5'9 to 5'10, Tommaso Sione is not the figure on that porch. That is not exoneration. That is a measurement. And that measurement points investigators toward the next question rather than the last one. What is documented and what cannot be explained away is this. According to behavioral analysts consulted on kidnapping cases of this nature, innocent family members respond to a missing loved one with visible, urgent, public desperation. They appear beside grieving relatives. They make statements. They plead. Savannah Guthrie posted emotional videos. Annie cooperated so fully that investigators searched her vehicle and her property. Cameron spoke directly to the kidnapper on camera. According to the public record, Tommaso Sione has produced nothing. Not one statement. Not one appearance beside Annie during any of the family's public pleas. 38 days of unbroken silence in a case of this magnitude is not a personality trait. According to behavioral analysts, it is a legal strategy. He was the last person to see Nancy Guthrie alive. He has not spoken, not once, in 38 days. That silence is not passive. It is a decision made every single day. Which brings us to the second name. According to court records independently verified by multiple outlets including the New York Times, Dominic Evans has a documented criminal history in Pima County. Felony burglary, robbery, theft, embezzlement, a DUI conviction. Evans is a drummer. He plays in a Tucson-based rock band called Early Black. According to Evans himself, he met Tommaso Sione through a Tucson Weekly classified ad in April 2007. They formed that band together. They recorded together. They maintained that friendship for 19 years. And for every single one of those 19 years, Sione was already married to Annie Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie's daughter. According to analysts reviewing the relational dynamics of this case, proximity over 19 years means information transfers through ordinary conversation the way water finds a crack in a foundation. Her address, her routines, her physical limitations, her security setup, her schedule. None of that requires a deliberate briefing. It seeps through, naturally, invisibly, over years of rehearsals and road trips and casual dinners between people who know each other well. According to the New York Times, Evans gave one interview. On February 25 he stated he met Nancy Guthrie exactly once, at an Easter gathering in 2011. He said investigators spoke with him for approximately 40 minutes 1 week into the case and had not contacted him again. His alibi was home with his wife and children on the night of January 31st into February 1st. His wife corroborated the account. Phone data, according to Evans, supported it. Evans has not been named as a suspect. He has not been charged. He has not been arrested. What exists is the physical record. According to the FBI's forensic measurements, the subject on Nancy Guthrie's porch stands between 5 feet 9 and 5 feet 10. Average build. Dark facial hair visible beneath the mask. According to former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Jim Clemente, there is a possible marking on the subject's right wrist, visible in infrared footage, consistent with a tattoo. According to Clemente, if confirmed, that marker could allow investigators to rule individuals directly into or out of the suspect pool. The question investigators are asking is not how many times Evans met Nancy Guthrie. It is how much Evans knew about her, her address, her routines, her physical limitations, her security setup, absorbed quietly without anyone noticing over 19 years of ordinary conversation. Here is what the evidence looks like right now. Not the theories. Not the speculation. The physical, documented, laboratory-level evidence that investigators are working with at this moment. According to reporting on the investigation, a night trail glove was recovered approximately 2 miles from Nancy Guthrie's residence. A DNA profile was extracted from that glove and submitted to CODIS, the FBI's national DNA database. No match has been returned yet. But no match from CODIS does not mean no answer is coming. It means the person who left that glove has not previously submitted a federal DNA sample. That is a narrowing detail, not a dead end. Inside the home, according to sources tracking the forensic processing of this case, biological material was recovered. That material produced a mixed DNA profile with 2 contributors. That profile is currently being processed in a laboratory in Florida. 2 people's genetic material at the same scene. 2 contributors. 2 individuals whose DNA places them inside Nancy Guthrie's home on the night she vanished. According to forensic genealogy experts, forensic investigative genetic genealogy, known as FIGG, is now running on the glove profile. This is the same technology that solved the Golden State Killer case. It works by identifying distant relatives in commercial DNA databases and building a family tree backward toward the contributor. According to experts in this field, 1 relative in any commercial database is enough to begin that trace. According to Arizona state law, DNA collection is mandatory upon conviction of qualifying felony offenses. Burglary qualifies. If Evans' documented conviction produced a sample in the Arizona database, that profile has already been quietly compared against the glove. The cell tower logs have been pulled. License plate readers have been cross-referenced. 10,000 hours of footage are being processed frame by frame. And according to sources close to the investigation, a $1 million reward is sitting on the table in front of everyone inside this case who is currently deciding whether their silence is worth more than that number. The car was on camera. The DNA is in a laboratory. The cell tower logs are in a federal evidence file. And the name at the end of the genealogy tree is waiting to be found, whether the people who put it there cooperate or not. Nancy Guthrie is 84 years old. She has a pacemaker. She has been missing from the home she occupied for 5 decades. She was targeted, planned for, studied, and moved through a locked gate in 41 minutes in complete darkness. She deserves to be found. This case is not over. Subscribe and turn on notifications. The next video goes live the moment a suspect is publicly named or DNA results are confirmed. You cannot afford to miss that video. Drop a comment right now. Tell us where you're watching from, and tell us what you think the car registration is going to show when investigators confirm the make and model. This community has been ahead of this investigation from the beginning. Your analysis matters. Share this with everyone tracking this case. The more eyes on the evidence, the harder it becomes to stay invisible. We are not stopping. Not until she is found.